Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I go by Hiram or Bogwa. So today I'll be covering the while loop statement and also the do while. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started by creating the file. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is work on the while loop statement, and I'm going to take what we did in the for loop statement. If you haven't seen that, again, go watch that video. I'm going to take the countries list that we printed out using the for loop statement, and this time print them out using the while loop statement. So there I have my countries, and now I'll go ahead and write a while loop statement to print out that list of countries. First, I'll print out a statement. And next, I'll write the while loop statement to iterate through this list of countries and print them out. So I'll first start by initializing my index, int I equals 0. And then I'll write the while statement. So while I is less than countries.length. There you go. And then I'll increment the I. So this is how a while loop statement looks like. It takes a condition, and as long as that condition is true, it's gonna continue executing this. So if we didn't have this I++, this condition will always evaluate to true, and the while loop would execute infinitely, and that would lead to a stack overflow error. So that's why it's important to have that I++ to make sure that this while loop does eventually meet a condition where the Boolean logic is false and it exits. So with that, I'll go ahead and compile the class and we'll run it and see. And there it is. We have our list of countries. So this is how a while loop works. You have a condition, and as long as that condition is true, this statement would always execute. So you have to make sure that you have some logic inside your while loop that will eventually force this while loop to exit. So next we're going to look at the do while loop, and in this instance I'm going to do it a little bit different than I've done with all my other tutorials, in that we're going to be reading from the user's input after the program has already started. And with that, I'll need to import a class from the Java libraries, and let me go ahead and import that. And this is the first time that I'm showing you how to import outside libraries, and we will write what's called an import statement. Import java.util.scanner. So here what we're saying, we're telling Java to import this class from the Java util library. And that's a collection of classes that are already there that we can utilize without having to recreate the wheel. And that's one thing that's big in programming, is we do not want to recreate the wheel if it's already created. We want to just basically borrow it and use it. So with that, I'll go ahead and write my do while loop. Now, one thing you can note, continue is a special keyword, so I can't name my variable continue. That's a special keyword in Java, and you will note based on that syntax. So I'll need to rename my variable to continue executing. So here, what I'm saying in the do while loop is I want this loop to continue executing as long as the user's input is a Y, right? As long as the user says yes, continue executing. Once they say no, we'll exit the loop. So what we're saying is do everything in this code block while this Boolean logic condition is true. That means we need to do something inside this code block that allows for the loop to exit. And with that, I'll go ahead and utilize the scanner library that I imported to reading a user's input to determine if we should continue or not. Now, this is how you define a scanner to read the user's input. So our variable will be of type scanner, which is the class that we've imported. And to initialize that scanner, we need to utilize the syntax new scanner. And this is how we instantiate a new object in Java. We will cover that later down the road. But for now, this is how you would initialize the scanner, where we say new scanner, and that scanner takes in system.in. Now, when we're printing out, we use system.out, but when we're reading, we're going to use system.in. So new scanner system.in, and that will return to us a scanner input that we can read the user's input. So I'll go ahead and read the user's input and determine if we need to continue executing this loop. Okay, now let's compile this and see. Missing semicolon, so always remember the semicolon, or that will get you into a lot of trouble. Again, there's a semicolon there, and that's something important to note between the difference between a while loop and a do while loop. A do while loop, we actually have a semicolon at the end of the loop statement, but in a while loop, we basically just define our while loop statement, and that's it. So here it's like continue executing. I'm going to say yes. Yes. And as you can see, the execution count is increasing. Or I'll say no, and we exit the loop. So the main difference to note between a do while loop and a while loop is that the do while loop will always execute the code first inside the loop before checking for the condition to continue or exit. A while loop, on the other hand, would check for that condition first before executing the code. So again, the do while loop, you're going to do everything that's within that code block, right? And then check for the condition. But for the while loop on the other side, you would check for the condition first and then execute the code. So the do while loop will always execute the code block at least once. Now that we've covered the while loop, the do while loop, and the for loop, they're all basically about the same thing. They accomplish the same task, right? Iterating through whether it's a list or executing a certain code block continuously until a certain condition has been met. You can use whichever one you want, but it's important to know how they all work and how to go about writing all three. Thank you for watching my tutorials. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you haven't, and also check me out on Instagram at coderush.io.